entirely superstitious person, but I do have my moments. Like when I catch myself saying, knock on wood, or the fact that I won't pick up a penny unless it's heads up. And the number 2, it has a personal uncanny meaning to me. Because at 2 o'clock on September 22nd, 1998, I anxiously looked down at my watch. And in that exact moment of time, I didn't know it then, but my mother died. I remember sitting down with my parents when they broke me the news. My mother was diagnosed with metastatic breast cancer when I was 4 years old. At the time, I thought, okay, give her some medicine, she'll be all right. I didn't understand that this was a lot more serious than your common cold. And looking back, this is the first memory I have of life itself, so I'm sure you understand when I say that growing up with a chronically ill mom was, for me, normal. Like having to call 911 when I was 6 years old because my mother had collapsed in our hallway, or placing bowls around the house because chemo made her really sick. And trying to console my frantically crying mother that she was going to be okay and she didn't have to be afraid. She wasn't going to die. I remember the look on her face. She knew I didn't understand. But how could I? I was so young. The words die and terminal were being thrown around, but they had no true meaning to me. My mom was there, and that's all that mattered. Until she wasn't. That was when I began to truly feel these words. She's gone and she isn't coming back. She died. She will no longer hold me while I cry, laugh with me, play with me, take me shopping, or teach me to do my times tables. I was 10 years old and I had lost my mom. How would I survive this? Little did I know that between a choice made by my father and a gift left by my mother, I would be given the exact tools I needed to survive and thrive as a motherless daughter. My dad, or Mr. Mom as I like to call him, he really stepped up to the plate and began to take on the roles of both father and mother. But he too had his moments of weakness. I remember him crying, "I can't do this by myself. Why did God take her from us?" My heart ached, but not just for the loss of my mother, for my grieving father. It killed me to see him like this. All I wanted to do was help him. So I learned how to do laundry, and I learned how to cook, although my boyfriend might argue that that one's a fib. But most of all, I learned that I needed to be strong for my father in the same way that he needed to be strong for me. And boy, did he have to be strong for me. Growing up without a mom would pose challenges on not only me, but my father as well. Do me a favor, if you guys get a chance tonight, stop and ask my dad how he survived taking his 12-year-old daughter bra shopping, because I almost didn't. He did not want to be the one to take me on this venture. He said, why not an aunt or a friend and their mom? No. These women could not be trusted. They had something that neither my dad nor I possessed. Boobs. I would need a bra for the boobless. So let's review, shall we? My dad has to take his 12-year-old daughter bra shopping, and his daughter has nothing to put in the bra. How is a father supposed to help his daughter with this dilemma? How mortifying for him, right? Wrong. Picture this. We're in the department store. I'm on the opposite side of the bra section, and I hear my dad call my name. I look up, and there he is, swinging a bra over his head like a white flag of surrender. Elisa, look, a wonder bra. This will help you, right? I was mortified. Now, I know my dad was only trying to help me, and his heart was in the right place, just as it was when he made that special choice I mentioned to you earlier. It all began in the spring of 1999. My dad and I were visiting family in Montana, and I would attend on this trip my first rodeo. my father would be reminded of the joy that horses once brought me, and he would decide to make the choice to send me to horse camp. Horses from that moment on would become an integral part of my life. They provided me a safe haven that brought me happiness from my fingers to my toes and all the way into my soul. Horses would lead me down a trail full of life lessons about hard work, dedication, the importance of stepping out of my comfort zone, and to always think positive. I know these are the lessons that helped me when I was encouraged to run for the title of Miss Rodeo Lakeside. I know some of you might be asking the question, what in the world is a rodeo queen? Well, she was a spokeswoman and ambassador to the sport of rodeo. It is important that she be a strong public speaker and rider, and she must be well versed in the sport of rodeo as well as the Western way of life. At the time, this was well out of my arena of expertise. I was absolutely terrified of public speaking, and I knew little to nothing about the sport of rodeo. I showed up to orientation in Ugg boots and a flannel. I stuck out like a sore thumb, and when I saw what I was up against, I thought, there is no way. The other girls were so pretty and had all the right clothes. They were knowledgeable and they were confident, and they all had moms to help them. Not me at all. But I knew I would become a better public speaker, and I would make new friends in the process. So I decided right there and then two things. One, I wouldn't walk away from this empty-handed. I was going to grow in my abilities. And two, I needed to stop comparing myself to the other girls because all it did was turn my inner voice into an inner bully. I worked hard and I focused on myself, and from that moment forward, the only competition I had was the person I used to be. Before I knew it, there I was standing behind the curtain getting ready to go out and give my speech. I was so nervous. I kept thinking, what if I forget everything I'm going to say? Remind me again, why am I doing this? Well, when I went out on stage, I didn't forget what I needed to say, and I lived to see another day. And I had a huge smile on my face because I did it. I had accomplished what I set out for. I had given a speech to a room full of 300 people, and I made new friends. But what came next, I did not expect. I would win the title of Miss Rodeo Lakeside and the award for Best Speech. I was in shock. How did this happen? Well, this was about the same thoughts I had when I traveled to Oklahoma City and competed in a 7-day competition and was crowned in the arena, aired on Wrangler Network, the 2014 Miss Rodeo USA. I remember reaching up to my face. I was crying. I really did it. I thought to myself, my life is going to change forever, and it did. I am no longer the self-conscious inner bully that I once was, and I grew in my abilities. I began to see that opportunity surrounded me. Because of this new attitude, I would discover my career path in becoming an echocardiographer. I would meet people like Teresa Boffman, who has become like a mother figure to me. And because of her, I now know what it feels like to want to call your mom when something good or bad happens. I met Susan G. Komen board member Linda Amaro and their president and CEO, Laura Farmer. And they gave me the opportunity to share my story with others through San Diego Home and Garden magazine. I would meet Senator Joel Anderson and his staff, and they would invite me to become an intern in their office. And because of this, I would learn of the connected women of influence. And ultimately, I end up here, talking to you. So what have I learned through this experience of becoming a Sue Talks presenter, you might ask? Well, when I decided to take on this venture, I had no idea what it might bring me. But I knew from previous experience that only good things could come from it, and this rang true. I would learn more about a special gift my mother left me. Now, when my mother had learned that she was terminal after a near-death experience, she decided to start writing a book of poetry she called The Whispers of God. The book consists of poems about love and life lessons, and 3 of those poems are actually about me and that she dedicated for me. The first poem she wrote was when she was pregnant with me. The second one she dedicated to me on my 10th birthday. And the third is her greatest gift of all. I remember when she wrote it, she sat me down and she said, "I know you don't understand this now, but someday you will." The poem is called Words of Wisdom, and it consists of all the motherly advice that she wanted to share with me, even when she couldn't be here anymore. I'd love to share this entire poem with you tonight, but it is very long, so I'll share with you just a few of my favorite motherly advice that I was given from my mom. Cultivate contentment. Live in the here and now. Appreciate the gifts life placed before you, no matter what they seem, no matter what they are. Attract the worthy in your life. Choose friends who inspire you to be the best person you can be. And shy away from negative company, the disrespectful, the dishonest, and unkind in action and words. Practice loving kindness and a positive attitude. Be constructive with your words and thoughts in everything you do. And life will bring you abundance in all that comes your way. And people will recognize your gentle spirit before you speak a word. You will be magnetized and glorious, and you will attract the good. When diving in deep to my mother's poetry, I began to learn a lot about my mom, but I would learn something about myself as well. My mother's poetry reflected so much positivity and how it affects the way we perceive the world and the type of company it brings into our lives, and how important it is to brand ourselves with positivity. I began to realize that this was everything that I embodied. I chose to see the gifts and the opportunities that I was presented. My loving kindness and positive attitude brought me success in genuine relationships. My speaking platform as Miss Rodeo USA was Brand Your Attitude. And I traveled the country sharing the message to brand yourself and brand your, I'm sorry. I hate that when you lose your train of thought. To create your own personal brand because you could look to it as the kind of person you wanted to be. You know that moment when you realize, I might just be a lot like my mother? Well, this was mine. And she somehow managed to do it and not even be here. And in the end, she taught me this. I am not really a motherless daughter, and she is not truly gone. I have a mother who blessed me with a loving father and words of wisdom to guide me, and she continues to live on through me and in my heart. Thank you.